Hi everybody, welcome to 5 Minute Ministries. Today, adultery is not really a term that's used anymore. It's been relegated to, quote, a legal term. Now, people want to reduce it and call it, quote, cheating. Now, the impact of adultery or cheating, and I'm just going to say adultery from now on because that's what it is, the impact of it is the same no matter what you call it. Now, unfortunately, adultery has become so commonplace, people are not only expecting it, there are also others who are encouraging it. They say, well, it will, quote, prove how much the other person loves you. It will, quote, spice up your marriage. It will, quote, make you feel better about yourself. It'll fulfill the needs that your spouse is not meeting. Now, I will say spouse because sex is supposed to be within the confines of marriage. But, of course, we all know adultery is not limited to sex. There are also other parts of adultery, which I'm not really going to get into right now. I'm not defining the terms of, is this adultery, is that adultery? What I'm talking about is what is adultery and how damaging it can be. If you have someone continually telling you that your spouse isn't good enough, that your spouse is not meeting your needs, so you might as well go find it somewhere else. If you have a friend like that, that is not a friend, and you should avoid that person at all costs. Society wants to make adultery not only normal, wants to make it expected. They say, well, that's just part of life now, because, hey, marriages at 60% don't last, right? That 60% of marriages end in divorce, right? So, adultery is no big deal, it's no big thing, and the people who say that are usually the ones who have committed the adultery. And they try to justify it, and they make up all kinds of excuses and reasons of why they went out and did it, and it always falls on the person they betrayed. And yes, adultery is a betrayal regardless of what anybody says. It's the ultimate betrayal. Proverbs tells us you cannot take fire to your chest and not get burned. And it's the same with adultery. You cannot commit adultery and then expect not to have any consequences. There's no apology that's going to make up for what has been committed. So what do we do about it? If you are thinking about adultery and you haven't done it yet, I want you to think about it this way. You made a full commitment to someone else. The job in marriage for both sides is to live for the other person. If you're constantly thinking about where you're missing out, or the problems your spouse is causing, or the, quote, red flags that I keep seeing now that we're married, if you are focusing on those things, it's going to drive you away from your spouse. And you should not be focusing on those things. You should be grateful for the things that person does do. Not going around correcting everything they, quote, do wrong because they didn't do it your way. Not focusing on the negative, not criticizing, not blaming, but working together to overcome the things where you disagree. And always come back together, especially if you're in Christ, because you have a central person to focus on, and that is Jesus himself. So you have a common ground to come back to. Always go back to the Bible. What does the Bible say about what we're going through right now? Do not deny yourselves sexual desires. And what I mean by that, don't deny each other as spouses. Open up to each other. I know there's a time and a place for everything, and if a person says no, you do have to respect that. But do not continually say no to your spouse. Treat that as something precious because it's supposed to be. God designed it that way from the very beginning. It was supposed to be a thing between a man and wife where they can connect like nobody else can connect with them. If you really want to avoid adultery and avoid divorce, you need to be on the same page in a lot of places. Now, there are going to be places you disagree and you need to work through those. But take time to be thankful for your spouse. Appreciate your spouse. Tell your spouse, hey, I like this about you. I like it when you do that. I appreciate the things that you do for me, for the family, for my extended family, whatever. Take time and compliment, edify, and encourage, because those things go a very long way. This has been 5 Minute Ministries, and I'll see you next time.